Thank you for joining us. This is Health Your Own Way podcast, and I'm your host, Akins.
Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to talk about making of a woman and discovering your inner strength. And my guest speaker is Jules. She's an award-winning author, a speaker, and a bodybuilder. I'm excited for this because I want to hear more about your story and why your story is inspiring. Before we start, anything else you want to add to this in respect to introducing yourself?
No, that's it. This is a good starting point. Let's go from there.
I appreciate that. So I understand that you wrote a book, The Making of a Woman. So to me, the word making of a woman was intriguing. So we need to understand why you came up with that thought. And, I know it was based on your personal life experience. So if you don't mind, can you share with us, why you felt the need to share your story in a book format?
When I would tell my story to my friends or, bits and pieces of it, I would get this feedback like, girl, you need to write a book. And I just didn't think it was that astounding that I just minimized it. It was just life, right? That's what I did. And now I'm here. But other people did not see it that way. And so over the years, I would get these almost like urgency, like I've got to tell this story. And so there's been times I've told it within a smaller group, but it has catapulted now to a much larger mass. And it's been exciting. It has been ego challenging, but it's been a lot of things. And I think the most rewarding part is that I have been able to connect with some amazing people who've had the courage to be like, me too, right? So it's been profound. It's been an experience within itself.
To me, when you're talking, it comes across like you actually grew from that experience of writing a book and sharing your stories, then as well as helping others with, others based on the fact that you shared your own stories. That's how it came across.
Yeah, because the dark space, I think throughout our lives, we've all dipped into the dark space or really so challenging times. It was just day after day after day. And you're like, is it ever going to give? I've been there, and I've been there with the help of drugs and alcohol. And I've been there in complete sobriety. So, and I hate that space. And I don't want anybody to have to go through it. I mean, I found that when I connected with people, there were a lot of answers to the thought that what my problems I thought that actually were. So I'm all about let's bring this out on the table and let's just talk about it, take the shame away. Let's just chat about it.
I appreciate you saying that. And now for me, at the beginning, when I was saying, the making of a woman, you got to tell me how you came up with that. Okay. Because that's not it's unique and it's really striking when you read those words.
I practice meditation, and this actually came to me in meditation. And so the making of a woman from the inside out, because that's really what it is. We put on the mask, as you look at the cover of the book, you're like, she's got it all together, but it's the inside out. That's the journey, right? And so that's what. And there's just such depth to the title. I wasn't going to change it. Source told me it was a good idea. I'm using it. So that's why I have it.
I love that. I think for me, anybody who's watching or listening, when you're writing your story, did you face any challenges that you can share with us? And, how did you overcome those challenges to ensure that you were able to create that book to provide other people with that kind of experience so they can discover their own inner strength?
One of the things I did not want to do by writing my story was to put more negativity and trauma into the world. Okay. And so that was my focus, is that we are not going to dive into the details of the dark space, right? So when I met with Marlena, we connected really easily. And also we're two women at different spans of our life. And so she had input. She understood exactly what I was trying to say. And so between the two of us, we were able to compose this amazing book. And so, of course, we started at the beginning. And so there were a few weeks in there when we got to the dark space. And I believe that blacking out, or those were almost ways of coping. And so I would bring out to my kitchen counter a box full of pictures And I would start moving around and moving, be like, okay. And I'm piecing together this puzzle of that dark space, because let's face it, I don't ever want to remember it. So to actually relive it, I wasn't torn by emotion, but I definitely experienced the funk. Like, it's almost like my body, we've heard like the traumas where the body is held within trauma is held within the body. And so it was like, physically, I was in a funk. So, but I was grateful, like Marlene and I just kept that ball rolling and we just kind of kept going. But I had to gear up on my meditations and my journaling during that time, just to like get that out, because it was still uncomfortable to live through.
I can understand, because again, it is your life. It's what you went through. And sometimes, relieving what happened to you in the past can be also therapeutical.
Yes.
But at the same time, it hurts because you went through that. You know the emotions and they come out. Like, and I think for a lot of people that are watching or listening, like, in respect to your book, what do you think they can gain from your stories?
Like I was saying, I am hoping with great hope that people are able to read the book and go with that emotion. Like, there is ebb and flow in the book. I mean, right in the beginning, we start off with like pounding out the words that people used to describe me as, like, you're a dropout, a slut, a whore, you're never going to become anything, like all those like pounding words that just like crucify your heart. And so then as we, go through, and there's like tears, and then there's joy, and then there's inspiration, and then there's like, oh my God, all of that takes place. So my hope is that as people endure that, it's almost like a template for them. Like, okay, I've endured this, and now we're going to do this emotion. And I know that this is coming if I continue to do this. So it's almost like an interactive movie in a sense.
That. So that if someone is struggling to even make a change, or, they can use your book as a form of next steps, or even first steps to get to that process.
I call them baby steps.
Baby steps. Fair enough.
Yes.
I think, for a lot of people that are watching, listening, how is your life different now than it was before?
I say in there that I've lived two lives, and I totally have. I think about the little girl, first off, the 6 or 7 year old. I was small and frail in my pale white skin. And I was just like, my safe space was the shadows. And so if I just stayed out of that limelight, my day would go better than if I was out in the forefront. And so, as, focus on today, it's like, there's no comparison. I mean, here it was drugs and alcohol and all of the people and the places that take place in that sort of social environment, right? I shouldn't have not survived a lot of those environments I put myself in. So now today, it's kind of like I have the freedom to wake up without the regret of what I did last night or what I said to that person yesterday. I know that, like, for instance, writing a book, this is a huge upheaval. How do I do that? How do I not get scared? How do I not, struggle with my ego? Today, I have tools that help me along. It's literally, it's two different beings. And I'm so grateful for that I was able to leave some behind, work through the stuff that stuck, and then go off on the journey that I was the woman I was intended to be. So.
Love that. Congratulations. Because I know on a personal level, and even other people, it is hard to transition. It is like you're basically fighting yourself, because you have to come out of your comfort zone, and you have to take the next first step to basically seek help, or even learn how to help yourself if you can't get that help.
Totally.
And
it's turning inward, right? We look out for everything. I look for the doctor to cure this. I look for you to employ me, you to do my 401k. I mean, everything is out. Like, you take care of me. And I think when I got sober at the age of 35, so this is midlife for most people. And it was almost like I was dropped on planet sober. I had no idea how to function in different arenas. My choice of words were completely inappropriate. I mean, I had to learn everything from scratch. But by doing so, I had to turn inward and be like, how do I feel when this person leaves? right? Like, you know how it is. You're hanging out with your girls and you're just like, man, this moment can never end. And you leave and you're just charged up and and things are going to get done today, right? And then you have that other where you leave and you're like, I need a cup of coffee or I need a nap. I mean, so that's the way I had to learn how to acquire that ability to turn inward. And it's a process, like the baby step, and then you take 2 baby steps and you take 1 back, and it's a whole dance. That's got to be a dance. But then you get the momentum and the confidence because you've had a couple of experiences behind you. But it's nothing like diving into the other side. Totally not. I took every step on my way.
Appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people, they see you now, they're like, okay, she's got her things together, but they don't understand the process it took to get to where you are, right? And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people you see out there that look like it, or even maybe they do have it to a certain extent, they weren't there at the beginning. Like when you said baby steps, it takes time, and they may be at one point at where you are right now, but when you see them, like someone like Jules, it is possible. And that's something that we're trying to show you today, that you can find your inner strength. And if getting her book, The Making of a Woman, could help you, then that's something you should be looking at to do. So with that said, Jules, how do we reach out to you if anybody wants to follow your journey, or maybe look at your books, or just learn more about what you do?
Social media is absolutely fantastic. I don't even know how we lived without it. But on my website, themakingofawoman.com, I have everything from the events, various podcasts I've been on. I blog in there, which is super cool because it's almost like journal snapshots. Again, keeping that vulnerability open. And then, of course, there's all the links to my Instagram, my Facebook, all of that. That's all on there as well. And there's also in there, if social media isn't your thing, in there is a contact. So even just shooting an email to me gets that conversation going. And that's really what this is all about.
Fair enough. I appreciate you saying that. We will have that in the video show notes, as well as the show notes. And I think before we let you go, Jules, what is next for you? Anything you want to share that's coming up? It's 2022. What's next for you, Jules?
This whole journey has been me staying in the passenger seat. I know what it looks like when I get in the driver's seat. It's not for me. It doesn't fit. I'm the best co-pilot you will ever meet. And so for me, I think I'm doing it right now, right? I think doing what we're doing right now is next. I do whatever calls to me that source brings to my presence. And so, for instance, I know people enjoy my voice. And so an audiobook, right? I'm very expressive. They're like, you have to read this book to us. And so that's something that's in the making. So that's my next baby step, I guess. But ultimately, source has the outcome.
I like that. And you do have a soothing voice. I can see and me listening to you. So I wish you all the best for your next project. That said, I want to say thank you for being part of the platform. I appreciate you having this conversation because I think it is needed. A lot of people see people like yourself, your award-winning author, your bodybuilder, and they don't realize that, I wasn't that person at one time, So I appreciate you.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad we got a chance to do this.
We're glad to have you join us. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, share with anyone that needs to be empowered and inspired. And don't forget to join us next week for the next episode of Health Your Way Podcast. Have a good day, you guys.